Are you a couple getting close to retirement in your 50s, early 60s, and you're curious if you're on track? That's a common question. So we're going to do 3 different kinds of comparisons for your particular situation. 1 is, how do you compare with your peers? 2, how do you compare with a specific or common rule of thumb? And 3, how do you compare with your specific number? And if you're behind on any one of these 3, I'm going to provide 5 specific actions you can take to try to get back up to speed or try to catch up. Hi, I'm Scott Grissom. I was a college professor for many years, and now I teach couples close to retirement how to understand and manage their own finances so that they can thrive in their next chapter. So let's first take a look at a new Vanguard study. Each year, Vanguard takes a look at millions of investors that are invested in retirement workplace accounts, such as 401ks. In this particular study, they looked at, as I said, all these different employees, and the average or median income was $89,000. So right away, how do you compare with that? Your household income, I suppose. The average contributions across all of their participants is 7.7%. So on average, someone is saving 7.7% into their retirement account. But that's just the individual. If we add to that what the employer or the company might be matching, then the average rises to 12%. Well, that's pretty decent, right? Certainly better than nothing. I recommend for my clients that you strive for 15 to 20% savings, especially as you get closer towards retirement. And then finally, what about the size of their retirement accounts? Well, for 50-year-olds, the average account size is $189,000. For 60-year-olds, the average is $271,000. And then the average of what they call 65 plus. So unfortunately, this is not just 65-year-olds, but this is everybody above and beyond that. So basically everybody that's in retirement. But back up. What was the average for 60-year-olds? $271,000. For the 65 plus crowd, it's $299,000. Let's say $300,000. Now let's also put this in context and recognize that this is for individual accounts. So we might have 2 spouses that are working and each have their own account. Maybe they're each $300,000. Okay, well that's going to be a quite different scenario, but that's what these numbers look like so far. So how do your accounts stack up with your peers? Another way to compare is a common rule of thumb. Now, Fidelity posts the following. At age 50, you should have 6 times your salary saved in retirement accounts. At age 60, you should have 8 times your salary saved in retirement accounts. And by the time that you retire at 65, 66, 67, you should have 10 times your salary. So do the math. If you're currently making, well, let's say the average of $89,000 that we just saw from the Vanguard study, times 10 is $890,000 in a retirement account. Well, where does that number come from and what does it mean for you and I? I would claim it doesn't necessarily mean much because for all those rules of thumbs and the averages for Vanguard, we don't know where they live. We don't know how much they want to spend during retirement. We don't know what additional sources of income they might have to supplement their investment accounts. So let's dig a little deeper and think about how does it apply to you. So meet Dave and Barb. They're in their early 60s. They plan to retire at age 65. They've done some numbers crunching. They've looked at their budget and they know they want to spend $6,000 per month during retirement. So 6 times 12, $72,000 a year. Now this not only includes their regular groceries and gas and home maintenance, but they have paid off their mortgage. They have no additional debt. So not frugal, but not extravagant either in terms of their lifestyle, depending on where they live. So that's $72,000. But remember, to earn that $72,000 or generate income of $72,000 per year, it's not going to come only from their investment accounts. So they've looked at their Social Security accounts, their expected benefits, and they know that each of them are going to receive about $2,000 per month. They've looked that up. Turns out that's the national average for most Social Security pension benefits now. So $2,000 for each of them is $4,000 per month. That only leaves $2,000 that they need to generate from their retirement account. Well, $2,000 per month times 12 months is $24,000 that they need to be able to retrieve from their investment accounts each and every year. Now I'm going to make some other assumptions right here. I won't go into the details. I'm going to assume that their investments are invested in the 60-40 portfolio split, 60% stocks, 40% bonds. I'm going to assume that they're going to live for 30 years, so from age 65 to 95. Turns out all these numbers are important. These assumptions are important in terms of looking at the final number. So just giving you a little background on what that is. But they want to generate $24,000 per year from their investment accounts, maybe multiple accounts, his and her IRAs or Roths or combined. So a simple rule of thumb for that is to take that number 24,000 times 20 is $480,000. So if they have a retirement account of $480,000 at retirement, that's what they're potentially shooting for. Now, once again, this assumes that they know they can get by on $6,000 per month. They know they're going to get $4,000 from Social Security. So roughly $480,000 is, quote, their number. So you can do this calculation on your own to figure out how much do you need to live on. Remember to include all those extra expenses like property taxes, home insurance that you pay once a year, some travel, some support for grandkids, whatever that is, because we want to be realistic with this number. Calculate how much you've got from outside income sources, whether that be Social Security or another pension, or maybe you have some rental property that throws off $500 per month pretty reliably. You could factor that in. And then figure out how much do you need to generate from your retirement accounts per year. Take that times 20, and that gives you a rough idea. Well, let's suppose now, compared with your peers, or compared with the general rule of thumb, or compared with the more specific calculation that we just did, you discover that you are behind. And you've got, 5 years left. Here are 5 actions that you could take to potentially catch up. One is to start saving more between now and retirement. Contributing to 401k has some limitations, and in the year 2025, that limitation is about $23,000 per year, I believe. But if you're older than 50 or 50 and above, you can add in an extra $7,500, bringing that total contribution per year to $30,500. And in just these first few years right now, if you happen to be ages 60 to 63, sort of special donut holes, what we call that, you could actually increase your contributions by $11,000 rather than just $7,500. So that's 401k contributions, 403b contributions. You can contribute a little bit more to your IRA. So instead of $7,000 for everybody else, I believe, it would be $8,000 for you if you're above age 50. So option number 1, start saving more for the remaining years that you have. Option 2, pretty obvious, consider delaying retirement. Now, what does that help? Well, A, it helps that you're saving more during those extra 2 or 3 years. B, it's reducing the amount of money that you need to pull from your retirement accounts because you're delaying that. You're taking longer before you start removing from those retirement accounts. So instead of planning for a retirement span of 30 years, maybe it's only going to be 27 years. So that's going to help a little bit. Social Security. You could delay that a little bit. So instead of Dave and Barb taking Social Security at 65, what happens if they delay to 67, which would be their full retirement age? That little extra 8% per year increase could be the difference of success or potential failure. Option number 4 is that they can reduce expenses. So take a look at how could they spend less. Maybe they're going to downsize their home and use those extra proceeds to put into savings, if you can even downsize nowadays, right? So a little trickier, but maybe you can save expenses elsewhere. Fifth and final option is to work with a flat fee advisor who can dig a little further into the details with you to come up with a retirement plan that makes sense and that you have confidence in. So there we have it. 3 ways to compare yourself with your peers via the Vanguard results. The general rule of thumb of 6x, 8x, or 10x your salary by the time that you retire, or maybe a little more specific example number for your particular solution. And then we discovered 5 different actions that you can take to help improve your chances for that retirement being successful. As an advice-only planner, I don't manage people's investments, I don't charge an AUM fee, and I don't ask people to move their investments to a different company. That involves just too much of a commitment. But what I do for a flat fee is provide a second opinion and informed insight to a retirement plan dedicated just for you. Oh, and one more thing. If you haven't already, please subscribe and like this video so that others in our DIY retirement community can find these videos and that you also can find the next video that's going to help you retire smarter. Until next time.